Hello everyone. As we all know, we are going through one of the worst calamities the humankind can face. This pandemic caused by coronavirus, also called as COVID-19 virus, has created so much of disturbance in our life, more so in the healthcare society. We know that our patients are facing lots of difficulty in accessing the healthcare, or also they're having so much of confusion and apprehension about how they will be taken care of. There are lots of misconception and lots of misinformation which is also flowing in the media and social media. I, Dr. Sunil Ishwar, lead consultant, obstetrics gynecologist, laparoscopic surgeon, infertility specialist at Astro Hospital, RV, JP Nagar, would want to clarify a few of this misconception.
Hi everybody, I'm Dr. Smriti Nayak. I'm a consultant in obstetrics and gynecology at Aster RV Hospital in JP Nagar. So in this FP Live session, we will be trying to provide you with the latest evidence-based clinical guidelines so that you are assured of getting the best care possible all throughout your pregnancy as well as your delivery. One of the most common questions that we get faced now is that our pregnant women are at an increased risk to acquire the COVID-19 infection. What do you think of this, Dr.
As this situation is a new situation, and there is new information arising, and as a medical fraternity we are daily working on it and looking at what is the best way to manage the situation. This question keeps coming to us being a gynecologist, like, are the pregnant women really at increased risk for having acquiring this infection? Not exactly, but as we all know that pregnancy is a special situation where the body undergoes lots of adaptation changes, hormonal variation. Some of the patients may develop diabetes in pregnancies. So this can predispose them to a higher incidence of infection only if they are in contact with anyone who is infected. So as we all know that there is a general instructions going on that we have to mention social distancing, maintain hand hygiene, face hygiene. So if that is maintained, so if the infection can be prevented, is the best thing. Yes, if the pregnant woman gets infected because of corona contact, they can be a little bit more difficult to manage than a normal healthy adult. So what we have done is to make sure that the care is given to the pregnant woman, and also to avoid the situation of that she is coming out of the house and coming to the hospital where there is more chance of having cross infection. We have made some certain changes in the antenatal or the pregnancy care so that the visits can be minimized. So what are those changes which we have done that we can reduce the antenatal infections?
Yeah. So at Aster RV Hospital, we have installed a particular place called the flu clinic, and patients who are entering the hospital are first screened with the temperature as well as any history of travel, any history of cough, cold, fever. So anybody who comes out to be any positive with any of these scenarios is sent directly there, and so that this minimizes the contact that they have with other personnel. And this is like the triage, and from here onwards the patients are directed to the specific departments depending on the needs. Sometimes we also ask the patients to go get tested and report to us with the COVID negative reports, so that makes it easier for us to go forward with their treatment. This is done in elective cases where we have posted patients and the planned surgeries are being done. Also, we are making sure that we provide all our patients with masks, so that they also are aware of what all precautions that they need to take, as well as we are being provided with the PPEs from our hospital, which we utilize to make sure that we don't contract any infection during surgeries or during our OPD procedures as well. So other than that, we are also coming up with some changes in our antenatal protocols so that patients don't always have to come meet us all the time. Some of the protocols Dr. Sunil will be highlighting now.
Yeah, to avoid the recurrent visit to the hospital, which actually predisposes them to have contact with anyone who is carrying COVID virus, we do teleconsultation, so that takes care of lots of apprehension among the patient for small reasons like some cough, cold, or some general pregnancy complaints like vomiting, abnormal discharge, giddiness. All these things can be addressed in a teleconsultation also. Teleconsultation platform. Also, we have given our coordinator's number so that if there is anything really needs to be talked, so they can call to our coordinator, or they can also directly connect to us through our coordinator, so we can talk to the patients and take care of all their apprehension. Next, we have also reduced the number of antenatal visits which is to be done to the hospital. After the pregnancy is confirmed, we do need to have a scan to confirm the location of pregnancy, which we say as to rule out the condition called as an ectopic pregnancy. Once the pregnancy is confirmed, then if the patient is having normal pregnancy symptoms, then they don't have to come back for a regular visit till 12th to 14th week. It's around 12 to 14 weeks is when we call them back for one visit, where we will be doing all their blood investigations and scan, which is called as a nuclear translucency scan, which is very important to rule out chromosomal abnormality, which we call it as Down syndrome or Edwards syndrome. Once that scan is done, there is a little bit of change in the medications which happens, and the patient can go ahead with those medications, and this happens between 12 to 14 weeks. Then we call them back on next crucial visit between 18 to 20 weeks. So we used to call them around 16 to 18 weeks, where we used to do the general checkup to make sure that things are going fine. Now we generally ask the patient to call or have a teleconsultation at that time, so that we can ask them for this pregnancy symptoms, are they facing any issues. So we call them back around 18 to 20 weeks. 18 to 20 weeks is just time where we do the anomaly scan, that is a structural scan. We look at the structure of the baby, look for any defects, look for the growth, look for the blood flow. If this scan seems to be normal, and we also if there is any special investigations or blood investigation which needs to be done, we try to combine everything together so that in one visit the patient is able to finish those investigations. We can also the immunization schedule like tetanus and other injections can be given during this period. Then next visit we used to call them somewhere around 24 to 26 weeks. 24 to 26 weeks is generally a period where the patient, the mother, would-be mother would start feeling the fetal movements. So if the fetal movements are well felt and she is not having any undue other symptoms like swelling of limbs, or she is not having too much of giddiness, there is no abnormal vaginal discharge, no bleeding, no other medical conditions which you have anticipated, then we call them around 27 to 28 weeks of gestation. 27 to 28 weeks of gestation is time where we do again the sugar test to rule out any chance of developing diabetes in pregnancy, and then also what we call it as growth scan. Growth scan also can be done up to 30 weeks. So it depends on the convenience of the patient. Patient can actually schedule their appointment between 27 to 30 weeks anytime. So if this visit goes really well and the growth scans are good, blood flows are good, and we do not anticipate a major complication. Major complications after this is usually diabetes, hypertension, or a preterm delivery. And if the mother is generally healthy, then she is advised to keep a good watch on the baby's movement. If the movements are good and she doesn't develop any abnormal bleeding or abnormal white discharge, then it's all fine for them to come back for the next visit, which will be around 34 to 35 weeks of gestation. Yes, as I'm telling this, the monitoring of the health of the baby and the mother is again becomes the responsibility of we as a doctor, also as to the mother and the immediate family members. So if the patient is having any symptoms that the family members feel that it is abnormal, like if she is facing regular giddiness, she is developing abnormal swelling of the limbs and face, or she is developing any abnormal itching or redness or red patches, then they should immediately inform to the concerned doctors. And later on, after 35-36 weeks, then we can wait for the labor to start, or we call them after 2 weeks, that is around 38 weeks, examine and see if they can have a normal delivery and how her confinement can be taken care. So another misconception which most of our patients are asking or very apprehensive about is there increased chance of having a cesarean or operative delivery because of the situation which is arising now?
Actually, no. So, unless there is any proper indication which is purely obstetric, like a maternal indication, which is cephalopelvic disproportion, or fetal distress, which is like a fetal indication, we do not resort all patients to undergo a C-section.
So, you mean to say the COVID or this situation has not increased the chance
does not increase,
cesarean.
which is a common misconception. Again, people think that they will be, getting sectioned if they go into labor because of the current situation. But that is definitely not what the protocol suggests, and WHO does not recommend C-sections for even patients who are positive. They will be treated as every other woman should be. Their birth plan should be carried out as how they wish. The pain relief as well as the plan of delivery should be according to the patient's decision.
The other thing is, do you test every patient who come to this hospital for delivery or is there a recommendation that everyone has to be tested for corona or COVID?
Well, asymptomatic patients, there is still some confusion, but definitely symptomatic patients will have to undergo a testing.
What are the symptoms actually?
The most common symptoms that we know of is fever with a running nose, cough, cold, sore throat, and sometimes loss of sense of smell as well. And these patients,
gastrointestinal symptoms also.
Yeah.
So it is not recommended that everyone undergoes the test when they are admitted. Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
So along with that, can you highlight what are the warning signs that patients who want to stay at home and take online video consultations should look into? And what are the signs and symptoms?
Generally, in our own the antenatal cards where we have there is a disclaimer or the instructions like some of the warnings and do's and don'ts. Actually, if they have any confusion, patient should reach out to the doctor or to our coordinators who can clarify that. But most common symptoms which we say where they have to visit us is when they feel the fetal movements are less. Fetal movement or the baby kick count is less. Or if there is any in first trimester and second trimester, that's where the fetal movements are not well established, then the most important sign is to look for any bleeding. If there is any abnormal vaginal bleeding, any pain abdominal, pain is lower abdominal pain, if like cramps which are developing, any abnormal vaginal discharge, and general, if the vomiting is too much and this has led to dehydration, that is also one of the signs. But then most common sign is bleeding. In the third trimester, that is where after 28 weeks, fetal movement is the most important thing. As I keep telling to my patients also, like we cannot monitor you daily, even if it's a normal healthy pregnancy, even if it's a non-COVID time. The most important indicator for fetal health is the fetal movements, daily variation of the fetal movements. If they're feeling the movements are good, or if they're feeling that slowly the movements are coming down, or there is a drastic change in the movements, then they definitely need to come. One. Next is if there is sudden abnormal swelling of the limbs or swelling of the hand and legs, that's another could be an indicator for hypertension or also development of anemia in pregnancy. And sometimes headache, blurring of vision, decreased urine output. These are all the signs of severe hypertension. It's very common to find nowadays in most of our Indian home to have a small, the electronic BP apparatus. Probably they can check themselves, blood glucometers, those kind of things, simple things. So they can use that and monitor that. If we, as Dr. Smriti has already said, it's not really necessary that every patient who comes to the hospital needs to be tested for COVID-19.
So any pregnant woman at home who develops a fever need not panic. So fever can be caused due to many reasons. It's not always only corona. So wait for few days and you can take the normal paracetamol, which is very safe in pregnancy, and see if the fever subsides. It may be because of some other causes as well. And you can consult the doctor through an online consultation where we elicit the symptoms and then treat you accordingly with simple antibiotics. So only if you have the typical symptoms, very high temperatures, running nose, cough, cold, fever, these are the symptoms for which you need to reach out to your doctor. But just having fever does not necessarily mean corona always.
But any patient who is having fever cold, then yes, they will be called to a fever clinic where they will be investigated and tested if corona is negative. See, one more thing which we need to be known about is that Fever is a very common thing, and not necessarily it is because of corona only, because there are many other infections which are very common in this summer season. And another thing is, after delivery or during pregnancy, if the patient catches corona infection, is there a chance that they transmit the infection to the baby in utero?
No, actually, there have been no studies. So there is still some research going on about the vertical transmission. By this I mean whether the mother transmits it to the baby. But till now, no studies have found the presence of the coronavirus in the amniotic fluid, which is the water around the baby, or the breast milk. So there is actually no proven case, no proven studies, but there have been 2 cases which have got reported where the baby tested positive, but this does not, conclude to any.
Yeah, as I said, it's a new situation, it's evolving. But till now, it's not very alarming for us to say that if the mother catches the infection and she will pass on that infection to the baby if the baby is inside the uterus. So it's not likely. So another thing is, if the patient develops or the mother develops infection, can she breastfeed the baby? That's another.
Yeah, that's a very good question. So people refrain from, nowadays people are even refraining from getting pregnant, thinking that they may transmit it to the baby. They try to refrain from breastfeeding. But again, like I already mentioned, as long as you maintain the hand hygiene and the respiratory hygiene, so make sure you wash your hands thoroughly before you touch the baby, or any parts which are related to the baby's feeding, any surfaces that you'll be keeping the equipment on. And respiratory hygiene is where you make sure that if you cough or sneeze, you cough into your elbow and cover your mouth and use a tissue, and you discard the tissue immediately. So using these precautions, you can always make sure that any sort of transmission, not just of corona but any other infection, can be stopped to the baby. Breastfeeding is absolutely not contraindicated even in a positive patient. So people do encourage women who are even corona positive to breastfeed the baby, as long as they make sure that the practices are maintained. Social distancing, like keeping the baby a little apart from the mother all the time, may not be necessary. But only while feeding you can have the baby in the proximity. This is for symptomatic
I think the
patients.
more challenging than the breastfeeding, as Dr. Smriti says, breastfeeding is allowed and quite. If you follow the routine hygiene methods, then I think it's quite simple. But one of the most challenging things once we have a baby in our hand is to make sure to maintain the social distance, because there are lots of relatives who want to come and see the baby, there are lots of neighbors who want to come and carry the baby, cuddle the baby. But then, yes, we are going through very challenging times. So when it's so challenging for us, then to make sure that your baby is healthy, make sure that you keep it, have a social distancing, allow very less people to handle, and make sure only those people handle the baby who are in your immediate family members, who are not traveling out much or not having contact with other people in outside who can transmit the infection. Then breastfeeding, as I said, it's very, very safe. And another thing which we also encounter is, can the pregnant woman do exercises which are necessary for her to make sure that her delivery is smooth. Previously we used to say, okay, take a walk, you can walk for half an hour in the park, and you can do a small jog. So considering we are facing a lockdown situation and there is a social distancing which the pregnant woman need to maintain, so there are certain exercises which we teach them, which the mothers can do it at home itself. See, our Indian yoga system has been so good and elaborate that all this can be addressed just by being at home itself, not necessarily that we go out in the park and do. So maintaining a normal healthy lifestyle, eating healthy and doing normal exercises at home is more than enough, rather than going for a long walk and jog, which is kind of a recommended routine in previous healthcare things. So there are certain questions that our viewers ask. Is it safe to deliver my baby in the hospital now?
So the situation has actually made people think whether they should even come to a hospital or not for a delivery. So definitely the answer to this is yes. It is definitely very safe to deliver your baby in the hospital, and don't try trying to deliver at home and thinking, okay, I'm going to avoid getting the coronavirus. please do visit the hospital for all the warning signs that Dr. Sunil mentioned. And
I think another way of looking at it is, where else will you deliver? See, it's more dangerous to do self-medication or self-delivery. We've had one, I think 6 months back, there was a report, someone tried to deliver the baby at home
through YouTube.
So, and it led to such a big... Hospital is the safest place where you can go, because in our hospital, we follow a strict protocol of screening the patient and making sure that we segregate the patient who are very high risk or high risk, and having a separate treatment room for who are suspected corona and fever infection, and who are very safe to be handled as non-infected. So I think the question as to can I deliver in the hospital? Yes, you have to make sure that you discuss with your doctor, see what is the feasibility, what are the protocols followed in your hospital. If the hospital is following the strict protocol of it's a government guideline that we have a fever clinic where we can segregate the patient. We do have the facility where we can separate the patient. We also have a separate ICU, we separate labor room, which has been demarcated to be for taking care of patients who are high risk for corona. High risk for corona doesn't mean that they turn out to be corona positive. We do test them and we get the reports. I think the corona testing which we do in the throat swab or the blood test, in 24 hours we get the reports. So that gives us a confidence to manage this kind of patient. So another question the viewer has asked is, how can a pregnant woman protect themselves from coronavirus infection?
yeah, again, to repeat the same thing, I'm sure you guys have got bombarded by so much of information everywhere. It's the same three most important things: hand hygiene, respiratory hygiene, and social distancing. The protocol is the same for pregnant women as well.
In pregnant women, we also insist on wearing a proper mask, and we've seen quite a number of patients wearing gloves. That's also a good thing, because when we don't have a gloves in the hand, we generally tend to touch our face a lot.
Yeah.
We have noted that. So rather than what you touch, it's like touching your face, getting those infection close to your mouth is more important. So wear a glove.
So it prevents you from touching your face, which is a good way to control yourself.
Another thing is the diet. As we all know that immunity plays a very important role in fighting this infection. There are certain foods that they may have to consume in more. That's like fluids. This is the summer, so you need to take lots of fluids. Citrus juices, lemon, orange. Vitamin C, which contains more vitamin C, vitamin A, will boost your immunity. Then again, vitamin D3. Considering that we are not allowed to do walking outside and the sun exposure, we do recommend our pregnant women also to take D3 supplements, which most of the calcium tablets contain. So, and another thing is nutritious food. Yes, if a pregnant woman can follow the prevention things and eat healthy, make sure that they breathe well, exercise well, then I think it goes a long way to prevent this infection being severe. Then,
so what effect does coronavirus have on pregnant women? I think this has already been answered. There are still studies going on. As of now, there are no proven studies to show that the virus directly affects the baby or the woman. Of course, the respiratory symptoms which can manifest in a person who is pregnant with COVID positive are pretty much the same. But there are no studies which show that the coronavirus directly affects the fetus. So if that's
as I said, the situation is evolving. We do not know what happens in the long term, maybe after 5 years, 10 years. We don't know. But at present, whatever the babies which have been delivered or whatever the results are coming in, it's not affected the baby or your newborn in any way much. Next is how it affects the pregnant woman. Pregnant woman, as I said, the severity could be a bit more. If the pregnant woman develops fever or infection, we do tend to monitor them very closely. But then yes, there are designated corona hospitals where they will have to stay. Yes, if the situation gets really worse, she develops too much of respiratory symptoms and saturations are not picking up, lung conditions are bad, then the desperate measures of delivering you early so that at least the baby will be taken care has to be done, because the resuscitation becomes a bit more easier when the delivery happens, because pregnancy demands lots of oxygen. So the oxygen demand can be reduced if the patient is getting decompensated. That's a severe situation. Otherwise, as such, if you have developed infection and you have, again, high fever can induce preterm labor also, which is a known fact. So fever has to be controlled. Other than the fever effects, there is no long-term effect on the mothers, which has been reported as of now. So I think it's quite safe to say, okay, just take care of your general health and baby, and you should be fine with that. So as we've already dealt with this question, as someone is asking, what advice if I'm 12 weeks?
So at 12 weeks, you'll be due for your nuchal translucency scan, which is a very important scan. It should not be missed out. And this will require a visit to the hospital. Once you're done with the scan, you can show the report to your doctor, and there may be a few blood tests that are required depending on how the scan works out. But at 12 weeks, there's nothing to worry. Already the warning signs have been told to you, like if there's any bleeding, any white discharge, any pain, then you need to report to the hospital. Otherwise, you can always just finish the scan and do an online consultation where you get to know what the report is and give the blood tests. So anything else you'd like to add?
No, actually this is the most challenging period, corona, pregnancy. Yeah, it is a very joyful moment, pregnancy per se. We used to celebrate the whole journey, we used to conduct the baby shower. So whenever our patients used to come, they used to talk to many other patients, persons. So please, there are marriages which have happened virtually. There are lots of things which are happening virtually.
Baby shower.
I think you can have baby showers also organized virtually. There are lots of medias where you can do that.
So to summarize, would you like to elicit the take-home message from this session?
As I said, we are fully equipped here to handle any kind of a situation. We have set protocols to manage or segregate corona positive or corona suspected cases. Do consult your doctor through your personal messages or through your other media of communication. And as I said, make use of teleconsultation. Teleconsultation is the most safest way of doing it. Safety measures, as I said, hand hygiene, wash your hand properly. There are lots of techniques I think you would have seen to wash the hand properly. Anytime you go out or come in, make sure you use the hand sanitizers or alcohol-based sanitizers. Then avoid physical contact, maintain a distance of at least 1 meter when you are going outside. Reduce, as a pregnancy, reduce your visits to the hospital, reduce your visit going out of the house, your grocery shopping or your other shopping. I think husband need to pitch in now, more so than what they were doing before. But considering there's a lockdown, they are also at home. Do not allow any of your neighbors or your relatives who are traveled out or who are coming from hotspots into your house just to say hi. So probably just by saying hi, they are giving you an infection. So make sure that you have that social distancing there. If you have a small child or small children in your house, make sure that they are also advised not to meet lots of other kids or go play on, considering it's a summer vacation going on. So also because they can carry the infection back. So these are some of the tips, and I think you can.
No, I think we have answered most of the questions, and I hope all the doubts that have been there have been clarified. If not, please drop in your queries in the comment section below. So thank you for joining this live session, and hopefully we'll see you again for the next live session on the next health topic.
And be safe.
Yeah, thank you.